Welcome to the Can We Sit In Spotlight Series. I'm your host, Scott Nerney. Stop by, see us on a Tuesday night, have an excellent meal, drink at the bar, and you'll see some great action. Such as tonight, Pat Cortellessa, Rhode Island Secretary of State candidate.
Hi, Scott. Nice to see you again.
Hi.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Spotlight Series.
Thank you very much.
Outside of running for politics, give us a little background of yourself.
I'm born and raised in Rhode Island.
Right.
I'm a native Rhode Islander all my life. And I was born in Providence, Rhode Island, and down in the West End, and went to all the Providence public schools, graduated from CCRI, political science, liberal arts, did some ROTC classes at PC, and went into, at an early age, went into the restaurant nightclub business. Started out as security and ultimately built up over 15 to 20 years ownership. And ran a few of the probably nice nightclubs in Providence back in the 80s.
Oh,
River Cafe, Cafe Plaza Restaurant, Perrier's Cafe. So there's a list, several.
nice.
And ultimately got out of that and went into commercial real estate business. And then in my older years, I'm back in the security business, and I'm working for a hotel chain in security.
But willing to jump in and be Secretary of State?
Yes, I am. Interesting enough, politics got into my blood back in 1997, a long time ago, 25 years now. And I got involved in Providence, being in the nightclub, restaurant, and commercial building business. You get to know the politicians, and I think politics I enjoy. Going to college, going to high school, enjoying politics in general, like the presidential elections in the 70s with President Nixon and all, going back to all that stuff. So it kind of like it stayed with me. And then I had an opportunity to get involved in Providence politics. We had some issues down there with corruption, so I jumped in because it affected me and my business, because I was renting property from the city of Providence, and I had to deal with that directly. So by doing that, I tried to run for politics. I ran for mayor in 1998. I got removed from the ballot by some unscrupulous means of signatures on my nomination papers were stricken, and they used a formula at the time that is illegal now. Not to get into it, but anyway, long story short, I was removed from the ballot. And in 2002, I came back, and of course, Plunder Dome was happening, and I submitted my papers to run and used that as a platform to expose corruption. Was able to, have meetings and interviews with politicians and also with the news media. And after that Plunder Dome trial, I drifted away from politics for a while, and I got back in 2018. An opportunity arisen for me, and the Republican Party were looking for candidates statewide, and I had done some research on the Secretary of State's office and the election laws and the historical archives department that all falls under the umbrella of the Secretary of State. I thought it was intriguing, so I decided to run. I became the endorsed Republican candidate and went directly to the November ballot against the incumbent, Nellie Gorbea. It was a great adventure. Came up short, but just to debate her and to get on that level, that platform, that high, that gives you confidence to go into the next round. And 2 years after that, in my neighborhood, there was an opening for the Senate seat. So I took on Hannah Gallo, who's like the second in charge of the Senate right now, who's been there for 20 years. And, their platforms are very liberal, progressive, and I'm more of a conservative type to want to, streamline spending and, oversee elections with, grace and honesty. So I came up a little short with the Gallo run for Senate. And here we are again, another opportunity arisen. I I had experience running. The party thought I would make a good candidate again, just with the experience level. And it definitely pays off because, once you go once, you know all the little scenarios.
Sure.
And you go in, and I didn't lose the knowledge I achieved 4 years ago with this office. It all stayed with me. So, it helps now because I can do things more in detail. I can be more intense on certain issues, and it's not a big thing to grasp. It's a lot smaller and it's more manageable. So here we are today, and love being here, giving my platform, and we'll see how it goes.
So the Secretary of State's office is in charge of three main things: the 70,000 businesses that are running in the state, and more that want to come in, the archives of the state, and running elections.
True.
So if I look at the biggest thing to me is running the election is something that comes up constantly. Some cities and towns will run small elections, like we had some in Providence and Johnston, but the main every 2 years, it's not something you start 2 weeks ahead of time. It's
Exactly.
critical, and it changes the lives of so many people. But when I look back at and I hate to use the pandemic as an excuse, but when we did the mail ballots under Nellie Gorbea's office, we mailed out 102,000, or 13% of the mail ballots were returned for bad addresses or dead people.
That's correct.
To me, that is an epic failure. And if it went back from her administration, prior administrations, it doesn't matter. How do we address that and clean that up?
It's a good question. There was a Supreme Court case, Ohio versus the Board of Elections, and some voters, jumped in on that. And the Ohio came back, the Supreme Court came back and said, look, after 2 or 3 years, you can start taking people off the voting rolls, and that's what their Secretary of State did. He removed people, I think, or put them in hibernation after 2 years. That's pretty drastic. So I came up with a plan after 5 years that if someone doesn't vote, they should be put in hibernation status and removed from the voter rolls. I mean, Rhode Island has about 700 to 800,000 registered voters, and they think there's some calculus made, formula, that's about 200,000 more than really should be.
Right.
So if I was to win, we're going to look at that, and again, taking a little more conservative approach to protect people who vote legally. We don't want people that don't supposed to be voting, but we don't want to take anyone's rights away either. So it's a fair balancing act. But I think after 5 years, if someone doesn't use their voting rights, then it should be put in the hibernation state. Now, your question is interesting because with the pandemic, I think there was 178,000 mail ballots that went out. And I think you said, it's correct, about 100,000 were undeliverable with the card.
Right.
So that should have raised a red flag.
Well,
But those people may not be living there, or they may be out of town or live in another state.
if 100,000 people showed up to vote, or a fraction of these, with their ID that says one information, the voter registration says another information, there would be issues there. So it's not just a mail ballot problem, as the Secretary of State had said.
That's true too. But more concerning to me is that the 100,000 mail ballots that get kicked back, now you don't need, if you use a mail ballot, somebody can sign that because you don't need to have witnesses see you sign that or a notary. So it's right. It's a potential right for fraud. You've got to catch them back when the mail ballots applications come back, and they're going to match those signatures on the voter rolls. And to be honest with you, they're not handwritten experts down there. So I was happy to see they're going to be deputizing, hopefully experts when the mail ballots come in during that week or 2 weeks or 20 days, I guess. And they're going to hold the mail ballots again, though, and they won't start counting them until 8 o'clock at the last hour, last minute of the election period. So you probably will have a big dump after midnight, So,
Sure.
but there's no other way to do it because under state law, you can't count mail ballots until 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So there are concerns there. I would like to address them eventually. Being a traditionalist, You try to keep things the way they are. People feel a lot more comfortable how things were, and they like to people like to tinker with things and change things, and they like to use. Well, we got more people voting, but we just want to make sure that we're not being taken advantage of people who are not citizens. It's almost like the census report. Very concerning with that because there's 55,000 alleged Rhode Islanders that don't exist. Okay, it saved the seat for the Congress there, the United States Congress seat. But you have to consider yourself. You cheat to win. Some politicians and some individuals think it was okay. I don't think it was okay. We should be able to play to win fair and square. You got to, as a Secretary of State, I have to give the impression to the general public we're on the up and up here. You have to feel confidence in me. You can't be wondering. So that's my job. I got to go out there and sell that because right now between Washington, with all the anti-voting issues and the hardships between both Democrats, Republicans, Independents, can't go on this way. We need to get together, and we're all Americans. So I think it's going a little bit too partisanship. So anyway,
that's good.
Yeah.
Talking about business, do you feel Rhode Island's open for business?
I think not enough. Let me give an example. I was at the Washington Country Fair the other day, 3 days ago, and the gentleman's there, a local from North Kingstown. I think his name. He developed his own barbecue sauce, so he had his little stand up there. So I went up to him. I said, I think his name was Mark, and he goes, "Oh, I'd love to get this out." I go, "Look, give me your business card." Took his card. I said, "If I become Secretary of State, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to call the markets. I want a local small business guy like yourself on the shelf. Okay? So put your product out there and get the local people making some money." And that's what I would do. Go right through all the red tape, call Stop and Shop, call all the markets. Get that guy's product out there. It was good too, great flavor. He had maybe like 50 bottles he made, So yes, you're right. We got to enhance Rhode Island businesses and give them a break. Now, Secretary of State's office runs a $17.3 million budget. I'm slashing that. We're going to cut payroll. We're taking a lot of the mid-managers out of there. Sorry. Because, 17.3 million, that's a lot of money. And I want to save guys like yourself, Dina, and anybody else who has to pay that $400 a year for nothing. That should be lowered down to $250 again. So that's my plan. Lowering fees for the LLCs, for the corporations, late fees, triple fees. You miss a couple days, you're late 1 year with your articles of incorporation. Then if you don't do it, things happen. People get sick, illness, your business is failing. You got to deal with, paying your bills and you're finding money. Last thing you want to deal with is red tape bureaucracy. What I really like to do is eliminate when a corporation goes in bad standing. And it's like 30 days if you don't pay your $50. Well, now it's $400, and then it's a ritual. It's horrible what they put a business person through. You got to go to the secretary, or you go to the Secretary of State, you file the forms, and you got to go to the Division of Taxation, get a clearance. And then from that point on, the corporation's got to go up to the State House, and you got to wait until these guys put it on docket, and then they re-establish or put your corporation back in good standing. Why? You got to pay this one, pay that one, pay this one, pay this one. No, it should stay within the Secretary of State's office. We should have the power to renew your business license. But
it's difficult. I'm a small business owner.
And I was.
And I started in January, retail sales, and I received a request to file my year-end reconciliation. I said, well, that's due in November. Right. You didn't file. I just started in January.
They can't wait.
It doesn't matter. It needs to be filed for last year.
Yeah.
I didn't have a business. So, but you can't talk to anyone. It's all, lucky email if you get it, a spam folder. So
yeah. And if
I'm looking forward to being much more streamlined and sensible.
Yeah. So this is where I'm a business person like yourself. I've owned businesses. I've owned, corporations. So I know and I was a hands-on type of guy. Although we had CPAs and all that, still I'm overseeing the whole
Sure.
thing. I want to know what the bottom line is. I want to see what's coming in, what's going out. So I've seen all the little things. You know, you look at the checkbook, where did this go? Oh, that, this. What the heck? That's too much.
And if a business is more streamlined, they can use those assets towards other things in their business. Or
Well, I got a
cut some
feeling
staff.
that 17.3 or whatever it is now, because it goes up every year. At one time it was 16 point something. I had to go back and look at again the other day, and they increased it to 17 change. And it's got to do with a lot of mid-management. You know, they got to take care of their people, and a lot of it's political. You know, I mean, the names are all connected,
Well, yeah, and let's talk
and
about
it's
that.
sad to say, you know, there's convention center issues and all that. You know, all that dough flying around down there. There's no, you know, millions being lost every year, but the money keeps flowing in. You
Yeah,
know?
so one of the things, responsibilities that you will have as Secretary of State is watching, regulating the lobbying on Smith Hill.
Ah, yes.
Is it a current structure with access to lawmakers a little sketchy?
Well, they have to file their notice who they're representing. You know, there's certain politicians that get out of the state house and they just jump back in. You know, maybe we could have used a 1 year provision, a sunset law, like, hey, you can't do nothing until 1 year after. Go away for a while. Don't use your influence because you know everybody.
Right.
So that would be interesting to look at. I don't think there is a sunset provision up there or a 1 year, you know, window to keep people from jumping back up there. You know, there is forms to fill who you represent, but you know, there's deals being cut every day. Simple as that. So I would do a 1 year, you know, moratorium for people who are, you know, elected officials, but they can't lobby. Can't lobby. Wait 1 year.
Okay.
You know.
So you talked a lot about making government clear, clean, transparent, easy on business, fair and accurate election processes. Is there anything that we missed? I mean, that seems like a handful, but I
Well,
think
there's
you're up to
other
the
things
task.
that there's civic education too. I mean, you want to learn, let the kids learn early, uh, to learn what government's all about. That way, the youngsters can come up. They'll know what you know, what prestigious it is to have the vote to vote.
Sure. Yeah.
So that falls under the Secretary of State. Also, the archives, historical archive, Rhode Island history. It's downtown right now in one of the buildings.
A lot of it's hidden away that we can't see.
Yes, because of where it is. It's more like storage facility.
Right.
So it should have its own location in a state property, maybe in Cranston up there, you know, and be able to really put everything out there for people to see the history. But we have great history. Civil War, you know, was it the 2nd Artillery Division up there fighting at Gettysburg?
We just had the Farnham Museum
Yes.
from East Greenwich on a short time ago and
Yeah.
talk about all the fantastic Rhode Island history that
Yes.
I'm sure the archives could add so much into and talk about.
I mean, you know, that stuff is all great stuff. Like, you know, I wanted what I had told some Vietnam veterans from Rhode Island was that I wanted to do an expose on MIAs of Rhode Island because they are superheroes. They were never found in battle, and you know they deserve a highlight. You know, but stuff like that it's forgotten. So it takes the person that's in charge to be able to dictate that. So if another Secretary of State might have other priorities, and you see where it's going. You know, it's way out there. So some of this stuff is way out there, but they have the power to dictate where direction to go. So I would do that. I stick with the military, bring a lot of the veterans back, do some great expose. Although they're doing a nice one, I think, from the Navy base back in World War II in Charleston. It's like the planes are going to fly in, I think, and they're going to have like you know, historical tours up there. I think it's a great thing. But yes, I mean that's one of the things I want to focus on, the archives, because I love history. So that would be something I would be very you know, proud to do for Rhode Islanders to go and know and have the place open on the weekends. What good is it during the week when people have to work?
Right.
It's closed. So that was another thing I was looking into. So the archives is important. Lobbying, the Board of Elections, chief election official here, and it oversees the whole thing. Although now the Secretary of State is taking a hands-off approach on it. I don't know why, but she seems to I don't want to know anything going on down there. I have nothing to do with it. It's politics.
Sure.
But the bottom line is, that goes with that. It goes with the Board of Elections, and things like I had looked into. I thought was somewhat interesting. If you go down to the Secretary of State's office and you want to get on the voter rolls, and you don't have a photo ID, okay, so we can make one there for you, and you have to show a gym card. I think that's a stretch. A utility bill, that's a kind of a stretch too. A doctor's note, well, that's a little stretchy too. So let's clean that up a little bit. I want to remove those little 3 or 4 things. Like, to me, it's once you're on that voter roll, and once we give you a photo ID, photo ID card, you're good on that voter roll. For you to get off that roll, it's going to be really difficult if you don't use it. Maybe in 4 or 5 years, but once you're on, you're on.
As we've seen.
Yes. So if you have a gym membership card without a photo on it, that shouldn't really get you on the voter roll. You need a little bit more than that. How about a gas bill? It could be in anybody's name. And once you sign your name to the card and your voter roll, you're good to go. You're a legitimate voter. Then, of course, there was issues at the registry, the electronics. I mean, the whole thing with electronic voting. My opponents love it. They want to have everybody vote electronically. Well, that's the 2 people that are running in the primary that ultimately will be the November candidate against me. They both support electronic voting. Okay, I know a company, CMIT Solutions, that are experts. I want a letter certified saying that system of voting is foolproof. Cybersecurity, 100%. Nobody can do it because they can't. Why? Because they don't know. Ultimately, the Russians can hack in. So you have people voting electronically, and they change the votes. There's motherboards down on those machines. They could be technically infiltrated off-site. There's stories on it. There's history of those machines down there that Nelly had to deal with. Not saying there's any corruption, or they're not saying there's any fraud, but I'm just saying that there's potential issues that you have to be concerned with on electronic voting. So I'm against it until it's proven that it's foolproof. So with that said, that's a new one that I just picked up. I saw that, I was very concerned. Even the Democrat down at the Board of Elections and the politicians, they're concerned too, because this is not a Republican issue. This is a Democratic issue also, an independent issue. Everybody could be in the same boat at one time. In the primary, Democrats versus Democrats, somebody is gonna, feel that they can, cheated maybe, if they don't feel confidence in the system. So we have to provide that comfort level. That's my opinion on it. So I really fought too hard. I went down and testified at the state elections committee. And I said, I think it's not right for candidates post-election, day or 2 after, to go in and to see the mail ballots that reflected their campaign to see if those signatures match the voting cards. No, you can't. No, I'm sorry. You have to take our word for it. And historically, we had that right as candidates to go in and check the signatures, check the signature match. Now, I was told this year we're going to be allowed to go in when they come in. I don't know how they're going to do it. You're probably going to get, in my opinion, you had 174,000 2 years ago. 2 years before that, in 2018, I think it was only 70,000. This year it might be less, maybe like 100,000. So you still got 100,000 mail ballots in November. How are they going to separate them? You know, statewide be easy because it's like, okay, everybody, I'm going to know. Actually, I could call every city and town. I can get a breakdown. They'll tell me. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, Cranston, 13,000 mail ballots were officially sent out, returned. 64% were Democrats. The other percentage, I think it was around 38 or 40%. I'm not sure. It was something like that. But right off the bat, you knew that, out of 13,000, 7,000 might be Democratic votes. So you have an idea. So if you times that, if you make that phone call, 39 cities and towns, you're going to have a good idea what the percentage is going to be. Because, when you get a mail ballot, Republican, Democrat, they know exactly who's ordering them and getting them. So, honestly, using a formula like that, you're going to know if you're going to be up or short. Now, in my case, I knew the numbers. And I had told my staff, I go, look, we have to come in after early voting, same day voting, emergency voting, whatever the issues are. We need to be up about 2,500 votes. And after all those criterias went down before the mail ballot drop, my campaign was only up by 480 votes. So everybody's rejoicing. So, oh no, you can't rejoice. Why? Because I know percentage. We're going to lose probably by 2,000 votes. And God, it was right on the number. Right on the number. It came, once that drop came in, that's what we lost by. So, I look at it like this. This time around, we are going to go and get our own mail ballots. We'll get our own staff. You can't cry foul, oh no, that's, traditionally that doesn't work. Well, until the law is changed, you have to, in Rome, do as the Romans do. So we have to go out, get our volunteers, get our mail ballots, and just think, 2 years ago, if I had just matched her, I could have won 2,000 mail ballots. See? So the Republican Party's on this now. We're not dinosaurs. We're not rhinos. We're adapting, and we're going to surprise these Democrats in November with our mail ballot dump. They're going to know, once they do the formula, instead of 13,000 going in, well, that's the total, it might be 50-50 this time. And they're going to say, hey, wait a minute. 6,500 Republican and 6,500 Democrat? Oh, wait a minute. We had always a good, heads up on this stuff. So I'm hoping that the party's ready to do it. They got the volunteers. We're going to go into Providence. We have our staff there ready to go. The African American community is so upset with the Democrats. They've been taken advantage of. I got a call today. We're sick of getting hot dogs and hamburgers. We want more out of the pot. We're coming with the Republicans. These are very predominant, strong families in South Providence. I won't say who they are. Ultimately, they'll be out there getting the votes and the applications out in the mail ballots. And, this law just passed, Vote Rhode Island Act. It left wide open ballot harvesting. Now, the Democrats are experts at ballot harvesting. Guy like yourself, myself, we might as well make a few bucks. We go there, get 500 mail ballots, make ourselves a big piece of change with the campaign. I'm an employee of the company, of the campaign. I can go and get 1,000. I can go and actually go register, go drop them down at the Board of Elections. I can put 1,000 in the mail in those ballot boxes outside. There's no rules, no regulations. Wide open. You got to adjust. We have to do what they do. So in other states, it's a felony if you do more than 7 or 5 mail ballots per person. Rhode Island, wide open. Why? Because they learned the system. There was a case, a politician in Newport. I won't mention who it is, but she won her election for Senate 4 years ago by her volunteers getting 500 mail ballots. That's how she did it. So it's like everybody at first was upset, confused. Wait a minute, what happened here? But you have to adapt. And if it's legal, we have to do it too. And we will be doing it this year. So you're going to be surprised with the numbers coming in November.
I'm looking forward to it. I wish you a
Yes.
lot of luck.
Thank you.
Hopefully next Secretary of State is in your future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And again, this is where I'm going. This is my direction. I'm hoping people out there join me and get me in there. That way I can put this to fruition. Because I think we will make this state a great place.
Okay.
So
Fantastic.
thank you.
Thanks for stopping in. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
Okay.